So in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys an update on everybody along with the Aquascape tank, but let's go ahead and start off with the Goldfish. So here's my two Goldfish. One's a Oranda and one's a Fantail. I had them both in a 40 gallon, but I currently have them in this Rubbermaid tote until they're big enough and until the weather is warm enough for them to be out there. These guys are pretty fun to have, being that I have a lot of predator fish. Goldfish are some of the funnest fish I've ever owned. That's why I always have them around, and they're always excited to see you. They always want to beg for food, and they're pretty rewarding fish, although they're really common. I personally don't believe goldfish should be considered beginner fish because 1, they get pretty big, 2, they eat a lot, and 3, they require a good amount of water changes if your tank isn't big enough. So if you decide to get some goldfish, make sure you have a lot of space to care for them, along with keeping them happy, because when they're happy, they just do stuff like this. The only bad part is they'll eat a lot of your plants. In this tank, I had a lot of moss and whatnot, baby java fern, and they ate it all. So all I really have left is some moss down there and a couple bamboo plants that I'm just using for plant filtration. Caring for these two isn't too bad. The only type of tech I have in here is a sponge filter, and on top of that sponge filter I have a huge lift tube, so it just kind of helps with filtration. And that's about it. These guys don't really require a heater, but for fancy goldfish, you don't want to keep them in super cold environments because they won't do well. So next summer, I'll go ahead and put them outside in that tub. So here are the bikers. One of the laps right here is a captive bred. My bigger captive bred lap actually, my smaller one's back there. But as you can see, this captive bred lap looks pretty good. All the fins work, everyone stands up. Head looks pretty good. It's a crazy eater, but at least he's not really fat, because when I used to have Dells, they were really fat. So good to see this one's holding up good shape, and good to see that he does this kind of stuff like swim around. So because like I said again, this lap is one of the more active bikers in the tank compared to like my Enley. The one on the inside is the wild caught, and then the one on the outside is the captive bred. You can kind of tell from the head shape, one looks a little bit more aggressive compared to the other, and you can see the mouth looks a lot bigger too on the wild caught. So I definitely like the look of the wild caught bikers more than the captive bred. The thing with the wild caught bikers is they get a lot bigger than the captive bred ones. I think captive bred laps get to about 18 inches, and then the wild caught laps get to about 24. So if you want to get the more aggressive looking bikers, I'd say go for the wild caught. But if you have a smaller tank, kind of like me, I would go with the captive bred, because I know that this captive bred lap is going to last for a while in this aquarium. But eventually this wild caught lap's going to get too big, and I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with it later. So this is my biggest Enley. It's my alpha of the tank, and pretty docile being the alpha. No one really messes with them. The back's pretty wide on this guy, so it's a pretty good feature on these Enleys. They look very aggressive, and especially when they're just laying there, they look pretty cool, like little alligators. It's my other lap coming to check me out. So you've seen the alpha Enley. Let's go ahead and show you guys my aggressor. This is the most aggressive Enley that I have. He attacks everybody. Yeah, there's times like this where this biker allows other bikers to be near him, but there's also other times when he goes crazy and snaps on everybody and starts attacking everybody. So this one is the troublemaker, and that one is a docile one. Update on the Anabis. I really like this fish right here, being that it's not really as common compared to all the other fish in this tank. You'll see bikers in other fish tanks and whatnot, but it's very rare for you to see a Anabis. Even though this fish is not that expensive, it's kind of a good oddball to have, because you'll rarely ever see them at LFSs, and not because they're expensive or not, I just don't think there's a demand for them. This fish is definitely a cool addition, and he just kind of swims around and does his own thing. And if he feels like being a Polypterus, then he'll lay on the ground and hang out with everybody else, but if he feels like being an Ode, then he'll swim with the Ode. Speaking of the Ode's doing perfectly fine. He eats anything. It's just the perfect Harrison. He's not a picky eater, doesn't require live foods, eats off the ground and eats off the surface, pretty much eats anywhere that there's food. He's one of the most well-behaved Harrisons, but I'm thinking about letting him go. And the main reason is this Ode is very skittish, and when this Ode is skittish, he scares all of the Polypterus and makes them all go crazy. And I don't know if you've had bikers before, but when bikers get scared, they don't run and hide. They bolt as fast as they can across the tank. So when this guy gets scared, he'll trigger off like a biker frenzy and everyone is just gonna shoot around the tank. And I'm just afraid that one of the bikers is gonna smash into the heater and crack it, or smash out of the tank through the lids. So yeah, that's one of my considerations when it comes to keeping this ode. Let me show you an example of when I did a water change a couple days ago about how crazy this ode gets. As you can see, I'm just kind of brushing the side of the aquarium, minding my own business, and you can see the ode is just going off. He's just going on an uncontrollable tantrum and smashing into everything, and I'm just afraid that this ode is going to hurt himself or cause one of the bikers to hurt themselves. And plus, one of my friends has been looking for this fish for a really long time, and being that this fish is pretty much in perfect condition, trained to eat anything, nice coloration, it's not a bad fish to pass off to a friend. Especially because it's his birthday, so which is a pretty sick gift because I wish I received the fish for my birthday. Another reason why I want to get rid of this fish is because I feel like open water predators like this ode deserve to be in tanks that are a lot more wide, so they have more room to swim, even though I don't have any decorations in this tank. So I think the best bet is just to get rid of this ode, and hopefully he'll live a longer life with my friend. So, update on my mini Aquascape tank. This little container is pretty shallow, so it's not that hard for the light to transfer through to the plants. But in translation, that also creates a lot of algae. As you can see on the walls, it's just filled with algae and it looks kind of disgusting. Definitely don't want to clean it off yet because I don't think the plants have rooted yet, so I don't want to disturb this. As you can see, the plants are doing pretty well. Like, I've never had plants pearl like this unless I had CO2. Back then when I used to run CO2, the plants would pearl all the time, but these guys right here are always pearling, which is crazy. I'm actually glad I'm able to record this because the last time I tried to record this, the plants weren't pearling, but I guess I caught them at a good time and now they're pearling a lot. So you can see the plants are releasing all kinds of oxygen into the water column. And that's kind of a universal sign saying that these plants are doing well. When I initially got these plants, they weren't in the best shape. They were not as green and there was a lot of die-off. And then when I planted them in this aquarium, there was a whole lot of melt back. As you can see, there's some melt back there. But with the addition of these ghost shrimp, they're doing a great job keeping this little container clean. And if they weren't in here, I would probably have a lot of problems with detritus. Yeah, you can definitely see in the back, the plants are pearling a lot right now. And I've had the light on for about 2 hours now. Eventually, when this container gets fully carpeted, it's gonna look even better. It's just gonna be all kinds of pearling action. As of right now, the plants are still new, so they're still kind of getting used to the container. I know this plant probably wouldn't serve as well as a nitrate filter, but just for the looks though, if this whole thing gets carpeted, it's gonna look pretty awesome. So in my next video, I'm hoping to do a little update on my giant gourami tank, along with updating you guys on how my wolf's doing. He's been in a 40 gallon with all my guppies and my 3 threadfin acaras. The wolf gets to live in peace instead of living out here with all the crazy fish. And he's just pretty much retiring in that tank, and hopefully he'll be able to live out the rest of his life in that aquarium. So yeah, today's video was all about updating you guys on all of these out here, along with this project right here, which I'm pretty proud of. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and peace guys.